Okay, so we are going live again. Today we are going to be designing a camera mount for the GoPro Session, and actually for any GoPro, if I think about it, going to use the standard lugs. We'll just wait and try and get some people in. So I'm gonna just copy the link. You'd think I'd have it handy, but I don't. Last night's show was pretty damn good. We did some interesting stuff. So let's just copy that and paste it around. Wait for a few people to join us. And paste here. We're doing some SolidWorks live ... Paste the link. Okay, sorry BHBC again, spamming, but yeah, let's also post this in the D-Quad Obsession forum. Designing a GoPro mount for the Obsession live ... Paste that in. Post, and okay, let's see. Oh, Stuart's in. Hi Stuart, how's it going? Okay, we've got people watching, so I've just posted it in a couple of pages. Please share the link. What I'll do is, I should have done this earlier. If anyone is, I'm not actually on the Mini Quad Club or Road to Riot pages, but if anyone feels to share the link, please do. Spread it across the pages, try and hopefully something useful today. So without further ado, let us begin. Right, so on we go. So I've already I'll show you the process. So we'd go new and part. Okay, so and also let me know in the comments on the live chat if it's coming through okay, and you can see what I'm doing, because if you can't, I need to see about zooming in and things like that. So I'm just going to open the live stream. Okay, yeah, no, it looks pretty good. Okay, so yeah, thanks Stu. I've got it on a secondary monitor. Right, so let's go for it then. Sketch, and we are going to go new sketch, and we are going to sketch in the right hand plane. Okay, because we're going to be looking at it side on, so that's the way I'm going to draw it. Now I have to tell you that all of my SolidWorks expertise are self-taught. If I'm doing something and you know better, then that's absolutely fine and totally understandable, but I'm doing things the way I know to do them. It's pretty rough and ready, but it's worked for everything I've done so far. So first thing I always like to do is just pull some lines out from the axes so that dimensionally I can put things in the places that I want them to go. So first off, we're going to put in the holes for the standoffs, so where the standoffs sit. So I'm going to draw out a hole, and as with everything in SolidWorks, dimensioning everything is the way forward. So we're going to set that to a diameter of 5, and we're going to set it, I know these dimensions, I've got them written down on a piece of paper next to me. So yeah, we're going to put that, the hole centres, I'd give or take 20mm apart. I'm sure the guys from DQuad can actually confirm that. This is in the plane that as I draw, you'll see it should all come together. So actually, I'm just going to reposition that because I wanted to actually draw that on the line so that I can get my spacings just right. So let's draw a line across here. That's it. Okay. So we'll draw it on the line, set it to 5mm. Set it to 5, and again we're going to set from the centre to be 10mm because we know that they're 20mm hole centres. I'm going to you'll see how I draw. So that's the first one. So now I'm going to draw a second hole, and we are going to draw. So I'm just thinking about how I've done it. I need one of the quads for reference. Yeah, the second hole is actually let me just find a part for reference. Where are we? I've drawn it, but I think I've managed to draw it backwards. But not to worry, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Okay, so let's dimension this. And if anyone's got any questions as I'm going along, I'll try and explain them as much as I can. I know that Rich has made a comment. Yeah, Rich says, morning Matt. Yeah, Rich, you asked me yesterday about commenting on the vids in the live chat. I think you have to just be signed in to YouTube to do it. I believe. I haven't specifically stopped anyone from commenting, so right, so we'll put this dimension in here, and that is actually going to be 3mm. Okay, now you might say, well, why have you drawn it like that and not put those equal? The reason I've done that is because the dimension from here to here is actually different than it is diagonally, that it is from this point here to this point here. So I knew that. Actually, in fairness, I could now take a measurement like this. Tools, sketch tools. What am I doing? Here we go. It's going to give me a warning now, no doubt. So 20.22. Okay, so what we can actually do is, so that it makes more sense, is we'll just get rid of that and we'll make that 10.11, and we will mirror that against that. Okay, so we have the holes for the mount, but the way we're doing it, we're actually we want to draw out our solid first, and then we're going to make an extrusion from that. So we're drawing the 2D surface, and then we'll pull it out from there. So we need to give these some actual thickness. So around 2.5 mil, I think works quite nicely, and should work quite nicely for what we're doing. So I'm going to dimension that to 10, and as this is 5, we should get 2.5 mil thickness around the lugs, if you like. So put number 2 in. If I thought building live was difficult, drawing in 3D is a lot worse. But we'll get around it. We'll get by. So we have our lugs, if you like, where our spacers are gonna push through. So the next thing to do is really to have a look at the frame. I've got the frame here. I haven't got a camera to show you what I'm looking at, but I'm actually gonna eyeball. Typically, I know it's not very scientific, but I eyeball the distances between things. So, and I'm looking from a sort of level plane, and just looking up, we're using a ruler on the actual quad itself, and ideally we want to go up 6 millimeters, give or take, will give us nice clearance before we start the actual GoPro mount. So that's 6 mil from this whole center. So all I'm going to do is put in a construction line for reference that's going to be 6 mil from here. I appreciate, for those of you that do actually do proper hardcore 3D work, yeah, I appreciate I'm drawing this quite untidy, but I'm going for speed more than anything, and yeah, I'm not being too precise. But you'll see the finished article hopefully should still work absolutely perfectly. So what we'll do, I think the best thing is, so we've got this is our base line here for where the mount is effectively going to start, and we need to build in some clearance, I guess. So the first thing to note is I've actually got the other side of the GoPro mount here, and I'm measuring it up, and the bit that the GoPro attaches through is give or take 16 mil. It's a hole that's 16 mil. So I'm also going to put a line in, another sketch line that is 16 millimeters from the baseline, so that when we draw a nice big circle, the bottom of the circle should won't fall below this line here, which we're going to treat as our baseline. So let's make that 16 millimeters. Okay, so now, in fact, we can make that less because it's 16 mil overall. So let's make that, we'll make that 10. The reason I'm doing that is 8 plus a bit, so we just raise the angle of raise the GoPro up very slightly. So from there we're going to make the inner hole for the GoPro screw, you know, the actual twisty, screwy, thready bit that bolts through all the lugs on the camera. I should have got pictures up to show you. But yeah, that hole is, as I'm just measuring, it is 5.5 mil. So from here, we're going to draw the hole, and we're going to make it 5.5, give or take. So 5.5 mil. Okay, and then to get enough material so that the GoPro will actually fit in snugly, we're going to make an outside circle that is has a radius of 8 mil or a diameter of 16 mil. So chuck that in, 16, give or take, bang on. Okay, so we've got, here is where our GoPro will snugly slot into. Here is where our standoffs will poke through and ultimately screw through the frame. Scott, how long did it take you to learn how to design? I'd like to get a 3D printer, but software looks pretty complicated. So I've been doing SolidWorks, it's self-taught for probably 6 years or so, maybe a bit more, and the best advice I can give you is the software is not actually the complicated part. I would say that the 3D printer and running the 3D printer and getting it set up exactly so is the hard part. For SolidWorks, the best thing, YouTube is your friend, and there's all sorts of tutorials. So my advice is get hold of the software, and you'll see what we end up with. It's effectively 3D printing anyway. It's just you haven't got anything physical. As soon as you've got that part that hopefully we will have very shortly, you will see it actually comes together quite nicely. So we'll crack on, and as we do so, I'll sort of try and point bits out, the complexities, if you like, of the 3D design and what's difficult and what's not. So I'm just reading a few comments here. Okay. Right, so what we have to do is we've got our areas for the standoff, and we've got our GoPro part. So now what we're doing is we need to join this up and make this into like one solid piece that we're going to extrude. Okay, so the way to do this is we're going to first of all take some straight lines, and we're going to effectively take a tangent from one side, from the outside edge of one of these, and we're just going to quite simply join these up to make one solid piece effectively. And I'm going to actually do this in a way that will give me the most amount of strength. So what I think we should potentially do is go for if it will let me do it, and that is going from here and taking a point there, and then taking it to up, and so that it touches the top, the outer edge of the top circle. Okay, so that will be our outside edge, and I've actually put a curve in because anything that's radiused is stronger than something that's got an abrupt finish. Now I could have put in a straight line that I'll just show you. So I could have gone a straight line to there, for example, and then a straight line up, and I could have actually then done something called fillet this area here and smoothed it off. However, I want the most amount of material to make it nice and strong, so the way I've gone with the sort of tangent, the spline, should give us the most amount of strength. Okay, so to get that looking nice and neat, what we'll do is we'll just select that and we'll mirror it, and it should join up nicely on the other side. Okay, yeah, that's all nicely joined up. So it is starting to take shape. We're going to do the same thing on the underside, but we know that that's our center line, so we might as well take the spline sort of from here. We want a nice tangent from the bottom edge that's going to come up and sweep up just like that. So let's go from there and we'll go to there, and then, well, I was hoping that it would actually give me a marker. Sometimes it does, but it would let me carry the line across. But that's certainly good enough. I mean, you have to have a good eye. That might not be perfectly symmetrical, but you'd struggle to know that. And that's a nice curved sort of area, plenty of material. So we're going to extrude this, do something called extrude this piece. So at the moment this is just a 2D shape, there's nothing 3D about it. But in order for it to put the holes in the right place, we have to show it a clear, defined outside and potentially any inside shapes. But you can see we've got a line going here, a line going on the inside here, and a line going on the inside here, which the software just it can't handle. Okay, if I tried to extrude that, it'd throw up all sorts of problems. So what we have to do is we actually have to trim these lines away. Now you've got various options, power trim, and so on and so forth. We're going to go trim to closest. So the line I click, it's going to detect in the software where the other lines sort of join up, and it will trim back to that point. So you can see it's taken part of the center line there and left this little bit. We're going to take that away as well. We're going to do the same up here, and we're going to do the same up here, and we're going to do the same up here and here. Now it's now going to tell me about having dimensions here that we're over defined, so I'm going to take back any dimensions that it wasn't happy with. Okay, so what have we got now? We've got a nice 2D shape, and so that you know what the colours mean, blue is something that's undefined and black is something that's defined. We could go ahead and define these bits now, but for our purposes it's not really necessary. And before I go on, I have to say I was actually going to go down a totally different route this morning and design a wedge for purely the session. And I was speaking to what I call my other sort of colleague, my team pilots, Ian and Tim. And Ian came up with this idea and this suggestion and said, well, hey, wait a minute, why don't you just do it so you can use the existing mount? It's the existing case, it's not very heavy, and you can use it for all the GoPros. So yeah, that was what we decided to do, and hence what I'm doing now. So I'm just looking, and it seems like the live feed, I'm hoping, is still going on, but I'm just noticing, oh no, it is still running. Okay, so how do we turn this 2D shape into a 3D shape? Right, well, we're going to go to features, and we're going to go to extruded boss stroke base. Now I happen to know that the distance between the parts of the cage are 19 millimeters, so the spacing will be 19, and we're actually going to select this through the mid plane so that it extrudes it equally in both directions from the plane that I've drawn the sketch on. Okay, so we're going to go, yep, select. So now we have our 3D chunk of material that we can create the rest of our mount from. You can see that our spacers are going to go in here like that, and our GoPro sort of screw thread lug is going to screw through there. Now we have a 19mm thickness overall for that part, but the actual requirement that we need for the GoPro, okay, so it's 18mm, so that's actually not a problem at all. How are we going to move forward? So we need to cut some grooves for our GoPro to slide through. So how are we going to go about this? Well, we are going to turn the model so it's front facing, okay, and we're going to make another sketch. So we need, first of all, we need to okay, I'm just reading Scott's comment. I just built my Obsession for a 5S and tried the D-Quad 3D mount with a session, but it just felt too top heavy. I opted to just fly without it. That's quite interesting, considering you'd have had the weight of a 5S battery underneath. I've only flown my Obsession with a session on top, and I found it to be good. But the main problem with the mount is that I print in ABS, so I actually have to take my mount off every time I want to take the camera in and out. And as I put the camera on different mounts and things like that, it's it's just easier to make one that will allow me to do that. So, but hopefully with this you'll see where we're going. So right, we need to cut some grooves. We're going to go to sketch, create a new sketch, and it's going to say select a plane to draw your sketch on. So we're going to do that, and we're going to select the front plane. So here we go. We're going to start now. So we need to cut some grooves. So how are we going to cut these grooves? Well, we're going to start by drawing the grooves in on top, and then measuring the appropriate distance. So this is our the first side of one groove, and I know that it doesn't actually matter how much material we put this side, because the GoPro is going to slot in. So we're going to make this 3 millimeters. This lug here is going to be 3 millimeters. So let's make that 3. Okay, that's the first one. And we also need to make a depth that we're going to draw the lines to. So we're going to put in a construction line that we can use as reference, and using a measuring device I can tell you that we're going to we're going to slice down, if you like, there or thereabouts, 17 millimeters I think we need. Let's see here, just double checking, it's actually smaller than that, but yeah, we'll go to 16 millimeters. That should give us enough. It's a prototype at the end of the day, so anything that needs tweaking we can tweak, but let's set this to 16. Okay, so I was pretty close there. I think I had it pretty much spot on. Yeah, now that's on 16 millimeters. Okay, so we can now draw the rest of our sketch. So we're going to go to another 3mm because it seems to be 3mm. It's there or thereabouts. It might need some tweaking, making them wide or making them thinner, but we'll see after we've actually printed. Oh, okay, didn't like that for some reason. Let's try that again. 3mm, there we go. And now we'll go back up to there. Oh, I think the stream's gone offline. Buffering, I think we're coming back on. That could be oh yeah, we're back. Okay. Yeah, another issue, I had to add some standoffs to my antenna mount because the pigtail was too long, so I also have to unscrew one of the standoff to tilt the mount up to pull the GoPro off. Yeah, so I also had to put my antenna on standoffs because I'm using the Unify Pro. So yeah, you're absolutely 100% right there. I had to do the same thing. So let's continue drawing. I think the stream is struggling. No, I think we're back on. Okay. Right, this is 3mm again. And then we're going to draw down to our line. We know it's 16mm, and then we're going to draw across again, and we're going to set that to 3mm. Okay, and let's go back up. Okay, so we're now basically there in terms of we have got our grooves that will cut into this block. However, now I'm looking at it, I'm just weighing up the position. I feel that we can actually move all of this over very slightly to give us a more central mount. So we're gonna, if we adjust this dimension, I'm hoping that because it's all relative to one another, it should all just scoot over. So let's just increase that to 5mm. Okay, that's moved it over, but probably just a fraction too much. So bring it back down to 4mm, and you'll see that is virtually in the center. I could get it absolutely bang on, but there is no real need to. What I am going to do though is make an additional cut. The reason being is that I want people to use the standard parts that come with their GoPro, and I want the length to be right when they put the screw through. So we're going to just shave this edge off so that when you're actually putting the bolt or the screw through to tighten it up, you'll have enough thread for it to catch. So we're gonna take that down to 16mm and take that just off of the sketch, because we're actually, imagine this as being a punch, and we're going to punch the shape out of the design. So I'm going to finish that there for the time being, and we're going to close off this sketch because we can't do anything with it. We can't turn it into a feature until we can. Okay, I'm just going to have to pause the feed 2 seconds and I will be right back. Okay, apologies for that, but we just had a brief interlude whilst I, helped the wife with one of my screaming children. So there we go. So we should be back. Hopefully you haven't all left, and we should be all good. Okay, so everybody's back. Yeah, okay, excellent. Right, so let us... We've cut the grooves, we've made the grooves, and we're going to turn this into a cut. So we're going to go extruded cut. Now you'll see it wants to cut from the plane that I've drawn, which is the mid plane, the front plane, but in the middle of my sketch. So again, we're going to go to mid plane, so it goes out from both directions, and we're just going to increase till you can see that the yellow areas, the sort of cut that we're going to make. Imagine it like a dicer, like a die, and I'm going to select that, and you'll see we now have some lugs for our GoPro. But we are still missing something, and that is we need to put in a nice area for our captive nut on the other side. So we need to draw that in. So the best thing, the easiest way to go about this is to we want to orientate our view appropriately. So we want to click the left hand side, because that's the side it's going to be on, and we're going to go to sketch, new sketch, and then it says select a plane or a planar face. So actually what I want to do is I want to draw this on to the existing this face here, because I actually just want to take out a chunk from this side. So I'm going to select this face. Now we can rock and roll. So first thing to do is we want some reference lines. So I'm just going to take this up from the origin, go across like that, and we're going to take, in fact no, scratch that, going to get rid of that, and we're going to put in a line from here to here, because I'm going to use this midpoint here. Okay, so what size do we need to make it? Interesting. Let's have a look. We need to make it, it is 8mm. Okay, so what we need to do is oh, that was crash bang, don't know what that was. Hopefully not my wife going through the loft. It's made my daughter cry anyway. Apologies for the noise in the background. So let's make this 4mm, and we're going to make, we will mirror this. If I go a bit quiet, it's because I'm thinking, and I struggle to think and talk at the same time. I am a man after all. So let's just doing some more measuring. It's going to be 4.5, so 2.25. So go not sure if I've made those the right size or not. So let's get rid of that. Take that across to there. So I've got something to work with. Apologies if this seems confusing what I'm doing now, but I just suddenly thought it would be better to do it differently. So exactly that, chef. You got it in one. So as I said earlier, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. It was Ian that had the great idea, and who suggested, well, hey, why don't you do it like this? And yeah, he was absolutely spot on, because what it has done is enabled us to make a mount for virtually any GoPro. So yeah, if you're wondering what I'm doing, it should all become clear thusly. I'm just checking and double checking and triple checking so that we only have to print it once. Okay, so that's that and that's that, and we're going to mirror that about that, and then we're going to mirror these about that. Okay, and I'll just, yeah, okay, lovely. And then the last bit of measuring is okay. So just putting some dimensions in. Yes. And add to. Right, is it me or have I? Why have I? How have I managed to cook this up? Oh, it's alright. I'm just thinking out loud. That's not going to be... for some reason, I think I must have mismeasured in my calculations here. In fact, I have. That's 8 wide. It's more like, okay. Let's actually get rid of that. And we're going to go from there to there is 4.5. That's better, right? Don't know what I had, why that went wrong. Hey ho. So now we're going to draw that in there. We're going to draw that in there, and then we're going to mirror these and these. Now I'm sure there would be an easier way to put in a hex, but I actually don't know it. And whilst I'm live, it's definitely something I should find out how to do. having just embarrassed myself a little bit, but yeah, we've done it anyway, so it's all good. So we've now got our little drawing for where our hex will sit, and we are going to extrude that, but we want to make it so that it's a bit of a lug. So what I'm going to do is recenter my view. The way we do that is we're going to draw a circle there, and that's going to be, we'll just dimension that to 14, I guess is good. And you'll see now when we make our cut, it should hold on, flip side to cut. No, I've done it the wrong way around. Okay, we actually want to, we'll get rid of this to begin with, yes, and we'll just cut this in. So we'll find the depth that we need to cut it, which is going to be should be, I believe, 4 mil. So let's do that. 4. Actually, it's 3. 3. Okay. So now we've got an area for a captive nut. And actually, I think there's no real way, other than shaving some material off, there is no real need to turn that into a lug. But I guess, so just so you can see what we could do, we might as well try it. I guess weight saving, so why not? Let's get the view going first. Select, sketch, nut face, and we will go, let's draw a circle. Like this. And we can now if we draw a circle that, well, we'd have to draw a complex shape to do it, and actually it might look quite untidy if we do that, so I'm tempted not to. What do we need to do? No, do you know what? I think we're going to leave it as it is. It could make that stand out, but that material, it's not gonna make a difference. Those that use this mount, it won't be horrendous. We'll just smooth this off here, and yeah, I think I'm very eager to actually make this up, produce it, and see how it actually comes out. So, and if it actually works. So I think we're better off just to do that. So let's just have a look at smoothing some of these areas off. So we're going to go to, well, we're going to exit the sketch that we're on, going to go to features, and we're going to use a fillet. And we can, just to demonstrate, we can click this line, and you can see it will actually just smooth off that edge, but because of the radius that we've got, if I select something it can't do and can't work out, let's deselect that line, then it won't give me the option. So what we'll do is we'll pull this back, and I'm no expert at all, so I actually just like to have a play around and see. Oh, let's clear those and see first of all what we can do. So I wonder if we do that first and foremost, and then we go to this edge and we fillet it, so we can actually smooth that right out. Let's go to, yeah, still happy to do that. We can go to this, yeah, we'll have some of that. Okay, so that's, instead of that being just a sharp edge, it's now just smooth. What else we can do? I suppose we can actually do these outside edges. So it won't do that at 10, but maybe it'll do it at, oh, hello. Yeah, so you can see, but if I put it on 4mm radius, it doesn't like that. But if I set it to 2, you can see what sort of outcome it wants to give us. And I've got the whole face selected and rounded off, and if I just, we can always go back, but if I just select it, you can see it will smooth that face off quite nicely. And yeah, I think we can actually, if we go for the whole face and fillet that, will it? No, it won't. Of course it won't, because I've got this inside edge selected. Let's go to the fillet tool again, select. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So sometimes it will only let you fillet if it's in combination with another item. I don't want to actually fillet this bit here, because if you fillet, let's just have a look at an example, okay, of where you should and shouldn't fillet. The reason I've done some filleting on this is because when I push it into the standoffs with this curved edge, it'll be easier to convince it to go in between the standoffs, okay? And the same would go if I rounded off these inner edges, which I will actually do, because we'll add in a bit of strength by radiusing this inside edge. But let's just take here where we don't want to fillet, okay? If let's have a look at how can we do this? We can, yeah, so we can see through. So here you can see we're sort of cutting through the image, and you can see here it's a nice 90 degrees. So when we put our nut in, okay, there's a nice 90 degree. If we then select this line and we apply a fillet, okay, you can see what it wants to do is actually add material in to round off that corner. Well, that's no good to us, because we'll find that our nut won't actually sit in properly. So that's when we don't want it. Okay, so let's have a look at when we do want it. So here we've got a 90 degree again, here and here. It's difficult to see exactly because I'm moving it all around, yeah, this 90 degree, where you have a 90 degree, especially with a 3D print, there's an inherent weakness there, because you can make it actually stronger if they're think of like an archway, okay, that's one of the strongest structures there is. I don't want to get too technical because I can't, I'm not clever enough, but an engineer will tell you exactly why. but yeah, we want to look at and see if we can actually radius this. Not too much, because obviously we want to be able to do it equally both sides, but also we want to be able to get our lugs to actually come through. So that's set to 2 mil. If we can drop it down to even 1, okay, that will be beneficial, I believe, to us. And actually we can do the whole shebang. So if we do this, and we also, sorry if it's complicated to look at, I didn't like that, so let's just take that off, and we'll spin it around, and we'll select here and here and here, 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 and here. So that's all done. Now let's have a look at what we've actually achieved. We've now got a nice sort of no sharp edges as such little mount, and hopefully when we print it off, hopefully it will actually work. But yeah, we will wait and see. So I'm going to save this up, and I'm going to stick it in the printer, and hopefully later on tune in when I will be having a look at the thug frame, hopefully doing a bit of a live stream tonight. We can have a look and see if this actually worked or not, and if I had to tweak it. So I think that is it for the live stream. Sorry for the interlude in the middle, but we had some issues with children. But yeah, we hopefully you've learnt something. If not, if you've got any questions, you know where I am. It's Matt Constable on Facebook. Message me up, find me in the BHBC chat, the group page I should say. And actually, whilst I'm looking at it, I think I have just noticed that potentially there's a bit of an ugly line going on here, which, I mean, we could edit this infinitely, I think, but it's better to have something that's just right. We'll up that to 2 mil if we can. It will let us go to 2, and obviously the bigger the radius in something like this, the more we're gonna nicely smooth it out. So let's do that, and no, put that, and now hopefully you'll see that that's actually smoothed out. There's no straight line there. Okay, so we are all done. It's lunchtime, and I'm going to go and grab a bite, and yeah, I'll post some pictures later on and see where we got to. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers guys, see you later, bye.